My name is Nicholas Ouma. I am a senior advisor at the Department of Education, Science, Technology and Innovation at the African Union Commission. I am greatly honored to have been invited to speak at this webinar series, and I want to thank Sunrise Virtual School for the invitation. As you are all aware, the African Union declared the year 2024 as the Year of Education under the theme Educate an African Fit for 21st Century, Building Resilient Education Systems for Increased Access to Inclusive, Lifelong, Quality and Relevant Learning in Africa. There is a consensus by leaders that education is in deep crisis, and progress towards the attainment of Sustainable Development Goal 4 on education is badly off track globally. Given the foregoing, the Transforming Education Summit was convened by the UN Secretary General in 2022 to elevate education to the top of the global political agenda and to mobilize action and solutions to sow the seeds to transform education in a rapidly changing world. As Africa weighs heavier than other continents in the gaps towards achievement of SDG 4 targets on education, the African Union also convened a high-level side event on transforming of education in the specific context of Africa. The outcome was a declaration on transforming education in Africa, with commitments on bridging the gaps towards the attainment of education-related objectives in Africa, including a call to action to African Union member states to consider education to be the African Union theme of the year. At its 36th ordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of States and Governments in February 2023, the African Union adopted education as the theme of the year for 2024. This theme was launched by the Assembly in February 2024 with the adoption of the concept note and roadmap for implementation. Consequently, the year 2024 has been unique for Africa with the implementation of this theme's roadmap, where Africans' priority on education have been clearly spelled out. These are reform of the teaching profession, STEM and foundational learning, teaching of African history and African Union Charter on Democracy, strengthening higher education and TVET, digital transformation, creating healthy and conducive learning environment, enhancing equitable access, especially for girls and women, improving education data, strengthening partnerships, and increasing sustainable financing and investments in education. As education is a human right, a public good, and also a public responsibility, it is incumbent upon us to ensure the provision of inclusive, equitable, quality education and lifelong opportunities for all. Africa is experiencing an unprecedented demographic shift. By 2050, it is projected that more than half of the world's youth population will be African. This presents both a tremendous challenge and a unique opportunity. Africa's greatest asset, the youth, must be equipped with the knowledge, competencies, and skills to thrive in a rapidly changing global economy. You will agree with me that the landscape of education is constantly evolving, driven by technological advancements, changing societal needs, and the ever-growing aspirations of our learners. As the immediate duty bearers, teachers are at the center of any transformation of education. In rethinking education systems, it is imperative that Africa re-engineers and has a renewed emphasis on the place of the teacher in the economic development of the continent. It is teachers who will build the human capital of the next generation of young people in Africa. This requires selective, coordinated investments to optimize limited resources and create synergies across all stakeholders. Stronger links with the private sector is the best way to ensure that education meets the labor market needs. Students exiting the education system must graduate with skills that reflect what employers actually need. They must effectively be the talent pipeline from which our industries grow. As the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution create new pressures on labor markets, education reform, lifelong learning, including reskilling and upskilling initiatives, will be absolutely critical. This will in turn ensure competitiveness of individuals in emerging world of work for the 21st century, with resultant access to new economic opportunities. In addition, businesses will have the access to talent needed for the emerging jobs and jobs of the future. The question we have to continually grapple with is, are the education and training systems responding to the profound and rapid changes in the labor market? How prepared are the teachers for this rapidly evolving landscape? How are the teachers preparing learners for the 21st century jobs? The African Union has set ambitious goals to harness Africa's demographic dividend and leverage technology for sustainable development. These efforts include the development of policy frameworks such as the Digital Transformation Strategy, the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, Science, Technology and Innovation Strategy for Africa, and the Continental Strategy for TVET, and most recently the African Union Digital Education Strategy, which is a framework for the adoption of digital technologies in education in Africa for the period 2023 to 2028. The African Union Digital Education Strategy has three focus areas, namely, 1, equipping educators and learners with digital tools. The strategy aims to accelerate the adoption of digital technologies across all aspects of education, including teaching, learning, research, assessment, and administration. 2, building digital literacy and skills. It emphasizes strengthening digital literacy and skills for all citizens, with a particular focus on teachers and students. This will empower them to participate effectively in the digital economy and society. 3, enhancing digital infrastructure. The plan acknowledges the importance of robust digital infrastructure, including networks and devices for successful digital education implementation. It proposes several measures to improve Africa's digital infrastructure capacity. The Digital Education Strategy Implementation Plan proposes a 5-year time frame to carry out the strategic actions under 3 horizons. These are Horizon 1, where focus is on setting the foundations, Horizon 2 on rollout and implementation of core actions, and Horizon 3 on consolidation and scale-up. The accelerated implementation of the digital education strategy will ultimately enhance the quality of education and prepare learners for the digital economy and society by equipping them with the digital skills they need to succeed in the 21st century. Another emerging issue with implementation of digitalization in education is online safety. In most African countries, especially where internet connectivity has been strong, digital technology and social media have enabled young people to access massive online content. This has included, among others, the access to educational resources, development of social connections, building of relationships, and demonstration of creativity. Unfortunately, despite these positive and encouraging milestones and innovations that internet has accorded, there have also been challenges where questions of safety of users have arisen. While we celebrate the remarkable range of information and opportunities that internet offers, especially its potential to inform, connect, and inspire, it is imperative that we are cognizant of the possibilities to harm and mitigate against this. Key players in the internet ecosystem in Africa must be at the forefront in helping to keep their users, particularly children and youth, safe online. In closing, let me reiterate that African Union Commission is committed to this cause and will provide the leadership needed in coordinating our collective efforts to educate and skill Africa for 21st century. Towards this end, we need all your support and engagement with all hands on deck. As duty bearers, teachers and all of us have to ensure that critical linkages are drawn across the education and learning spectrum from foundational learning, primary and secondary education through tertiary, vocational education, university, and ultimately industry. There will be challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But let us remember, education is a long-term investment. Let us strive to build resilient education systems that are inclusive, lifelong, quality, and relevant for Africa. The challenges before us are significant, but the opportunities, especially with the African Union theme of educating and skilling Africa for the 21st century, are even greater. A recent ministerial declaration has further buttressed this by declaring 2025 to 2034 as the decade of accelerated action for the transformation of education and skills development in Africa. We need a shared vision for a brighter future of education and clear pathways so that every child, regardless of background or circumstance, has the opportunity to reach their full potential and become the architects of a more just and equitable world. May I also emphasize that it is also important that we do not forget to strengthen career guidance and life skill opportunities. Social, critical, and analytical thinking, human relations, among other life skills, are important so that learners are not just like automatons, but youth who are imbued with African values, understand their environment, and in sync with the dynamism of our time. As we delve into innovative ideas and strategic insights, let us envision a future where education becomes a catalyst for progress, empowerment, and sustainable development across the continent. Once again, I am honored to have participated at this webinar. I look forward to and indeed invite you all to the next webinar on 4th of December 2024 when Safaricom and Meta will be speaking on how technology will change the future and role of teachers. Thank you for your attention.